Chris Ramsay. You are the operations manager at ICE Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Thank you for joining me at Toolbox for the Trades live at Pantheon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm excited to chat with you. You're a Torch member. Brittany said you are amazing. Brittany, who runs our Torch member program. Let me ask you, where are you from and where is your company based out of?
I am from Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're based out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Amazing. All right. You're actually, I think, like the second or third Las Vegas company I've chatted with today. So that's really, really cool. Yeah. So I would love to know, how did you get into the industry? How did you get into the trades?
So my dad used to own one of the largest new construction companies this side, or I guess that side of the Mississippi. I think they were doing something upwards of $100 million a year in residential new construction out there in Las Vegas. And I started there sweeping their floors as a summer job. And at 13, I was bending up sheet metal boxes. Just kind of went from there and did startups for new construction, did warranty work for them. I ended up towards the end of my career there, I was like their training manager and I was one of their top comfort advisors at the time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is your dad still running that business?
My dad has exited that business.
Oh, okay.
It is on to the second generation. Well, it's on PE now, and the second generation of their sons are running it with the exclusion of me not being there.
So your brothers are running it, or the PE?
There were 3 business partners.
Okay.
And so each business partner had a son in the business. There was a lot of stuff that happened, but essentially we disagreed on things, and I'm sure you talk to many contractors.
Yes.
Family doesn't always mix well together in business. And so we all found it best for me to go somewhere else, and I did. And I'm super grateful for that opportunity and for the exit of that company as well.
Amazing. So how long ago was that happened?
That happened in 2016.
2016. Okay. And then you found yourself at ICE Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
So I started ICE with one of my old business partners. His name was Junior in 2016. Yep. Actually, what happened was I had a disagreement with one of my dad's business partners, and then I found myself unemployed. And so I went to go work for a few other companies in the Valley, and just, it was really difficult for me to make a living because it wasn't what I was used to. The way they ran things wasn't my favorite. And so I ended up going back to my dad's company. And at the time I told him I was going to start my own company. I don't think he thought I was serious. And then when he found out I was serious, I got fired again.
No, yeah. Wait, fired from the place that you were working?
Yeah. So I went back to his company and I was selling. I was actually mid-sale and my phone had stopped working. And I was like, oh, it's so weird. Can I use you? Because back when they used to have landlines.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, can I use your landline so I can call the office, let them know that this is taking a little bit longer than it normally does. And then I'm processing financing because I'm selling the deal. And my internet's not working on my tablet. So I'm like, hey, can I jump on your Wi-Fi real quick so we can process this loan? They're like, sure. And so I got all done and I got out of the call, and I used to leave my personal cell phone in my truck, and I answered the phone and they're like, hey, you're fired. Yeah.
All because you expressed your want to start your own company.
I had actively already started. So like in hindsight, like I wouldn't do the same exact thing now. So, I mean, it's very fair,
Sure. So ICE is yours.
ICE is mine, yes.
Okay. Operations manager. You don't have the CEO or the owner badge on you. You fooled me there.
Well, I have a few business partners and things like that too, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell me, who did you start it with? Tell me, what's that look like?
So I started with my friend Junior at the time. We ran it for about 2 years. And then I ended up going through a divorce, and I ended up selling my portion of the company back to him. I exited. I went into distribution for a little bit. And during COVID, one of my contractors that I was working with, their general manager left them just high and dry in the middle of nowhere. It was a father and 2 sons. They're like, hey, Chris, we know you know air conditioning. Come in and run our company. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. They ended up giving me a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll come and I'll run it. I went in there and it was really bad. Pretty much everyone that was there just had no idea how to do air conditioning, and there were no processes in place. The only good thing they had going for them was they were on ServiceTitan. And I had no idea about ServiceTitan. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was really cool. And we ended up running that company for about a year or two. And then I ended up linking back up with my old business partner, Junior, and we ended up acquiring ICE. Now we're here.
I don't think I've ever had anyone on this show that has done so many exits and entrances and what's it called when an artist like relabels their self, like a rebrand, a personal rebrand almost. It's truly one of the more fascinating journeys I've witnessed in the trades.
Well, and I'm only giving you the bullet points too.
So something I've been asking a lot of folks while I'm doing these live interviews is, has there ever been a moment in your history where you've been like, that's it, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore? Like, think worst day in your career, and how did you overcome it?
I would say the worst day in my career was probably when I had to leave ICE because I was getting a divorce.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I actually never thought I would come back in as an operator. I thought I was going to stay in distribution. My issue was, though, in distribution, it doesn't move the same. It's much slower. It's very 9 to 5, and their vision didn't align with my vision, because I was used to 24/7. The corporate world did not work very well for me because a lot of people don't move as quickly and don't have the same vision just to get things done and move on to the next thing.
Got it. So you left distribution, you were GM for this company that was paying the right price. Yeah. The only good thing they were doing was ServiceTitan, and then you decided to go back to ICE. So did you bring ServiceTitan with you when you started again?
So what happened was, yes, in a nutshell. So we were running two companies parallel for a little bit, which was a terrible idea.
Sounds like a terrible idea, honestly.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
There's a plethora of mistakes that were made, which is fine as long as you learn from them, right?
Sure, yeah.
So we left ServiceTitan because at the time our success manager, we ended up adding so many more licenses on, or users, that ServiceTitan wasn't willing to work with me on the price. And back then it was all about price. I didn't see the big picture. So we left, we went to this software called Service Fusion that was not so amazing. It was pretty much just a place to store names, phone numbers, addresses.
Sure.
The numbers didn't report properly. It was a sham, pretty niche. We ended up having a meeting and we had kind of a bad taste in our mouth from ServiceTitan. And I was like, look, guys, if we want to do anything, if we ever want to sell to PE or we ever want to grow this thing, we need to get on a platform that can facilitate us. And so we decided to jump back into ServiceTitan. That was actually last year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we set it up properly. And, ever since we re-implemented ServiceTitan, we had proper numbers and we were just able to operate the business much better with much more insight. I mean, the business just started skyrocketing. Last year and this year have been our biggest growth years. I think this year, for the past 2 or 3 months, we're at least 50% above the year before.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're doing pretty good.
Well, first off, let me say thank you for giving us another chance. I know that's a big ask to make, especially if you have a bad taste in your mouth, but I'm so happy you did. I'm so happy you came back and that we're having this conversation today. So given what you know now, got off Titan, got back on it, what advice would you give to any prospective Titans who are, listening to this now, or people that just got onboarded with ServiceTitan? Like, what are the things that they should do to make sure they're set up for success?
I guess the biggest thing is I remember when I was a 2-man company. Now we have over 40 employees.
Nice.
And so if you implement things when you're small and you fix the processes and nothing's ever perfect, right? Like there's always something that's broken that needs to be fixed, but that's the fun of it, right? The thing is though, is if you get 80% of it to where it needs to be, it kind of figures itself out. And if you can implement ServiceTitan and pro products and things like that when you're smaller, as you grow, it's less of a headache. Now, if you wait until you're a much larger company, that you lose a lot of data in implementation, right? You lose a lot of photos, things like that. I know it's a lot of money. It's the best money that I think someone just asked me how much I spent on my ServiceTitan, and I was like, I don't even know. It's worth it. I'll give it to them.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, you mentioned that before when you made the switch to the other software.
Yeah.
You were like, I just didn't see the value in it. And so can you speak more about that?
What's the Facebook?
Masterminds group, yeah.
So, I mean, there's been a few outages lately and everyone's freaking out. But I mean, like I said, just like how we have issues in our business, it just kind of goes full circle, right?
Yeah.
But the issues that we have now are way better than what it used to be. The support's way better. Now there's an AI support, which is pretty cool. I mean, anytime I've ever sent an issue in, I get a response immediately if I need one, and it gets taken care of. So the support's there. The product with the implementation of AI it's far superior than anything else I've seen.
That's awesome. Your check's in the mail. So thanks so much for coming on board. So let's pivot. I asked you about your worst day in the trades. Since, this new journey, since you rejoining ICE, tell me about one of the best days that you've had or a moment that you've been really proud of the work that you and your team have done.
So we have some pretty cool partnerships that are in the works right now. And I actually got to go into some other markets and see what some other people were doing. And I had some really cool aha moments, and I've gotten to reconnect with some individuals that I used to work with back at my dad's company. So I guess the biggest aha moment was when I was riding with this individual and I saw the process that they're running. And I think right now, a lot of contractors want to make things complex. They want a 2-hour process of somebody in the home. They want you to do X, Y, Z. I don't think it needs to be that complicated. I think that if your technicians understand that they're there to service the homeowner, it doesn't need to be a dog and pony show. They just need to go in there and do the service and just tell the homeowner what's wrong with the system or with their water filtration or whatever, and go from there and offer financing solutions and move on to the next appointment. No matter what, AI cannot replace a service technician in a home. It can't replace a plumber. Getting back to the aha moment is like I saw this process and it's just so simple. And it was also nice to know that someone that I used to compete with, like I said, at my dad's company, had created this process, and they're flourishing and they're pretty much leading the industry and, their processes and things like that. So that was pretty neat to see that.
So while you're like absorbing all this information, you have this history of the industry, you've left, you've come back, you've worked for different sides of the industry too, even on the distribution system. I can imagine you're getting a lot of voices, a lot of chatter as to how to do things. So it must have been a big relief seeing that simple process and seeing like you can have success by keeping things pretty simple.
Simple, yeah. I mean, another thing too is there's a lack of good people, right? And a lot of organizations, your success hinges on a few key people. And that's scary as a business owner, as an operator. You don't want your business to hinge on certain individuals for it to succeed, as far as salespeople, technicians, things like that. What the neat thing is with the process that I've learned is that it's a team of individuals and they're always learning and they're flourishing, right? And each one is helping the next one up, and it's simple, so it's easy to just say, hey, you know what, this isn't working out. I found someone with a better attitude. They're going to come in here and, just got to plug them into the system. They just have to learn a little bit, and they're out there fixing air conditioning units and all that great stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've implemented at ICE recently that have really been a game changer?
Dispatch Pro is huge. I swear you guys didn't pay me anything to do this. It saves so much time. We used to have an install coordinator position, a dispatcher. We essentially did away with the install coordinator position, and now everything falls on our dispatcher. And when I wake up in the morning, I look at the board. Dispatch Pro has the calls aligned pretty much how I would do it. It takes a little bit to set up and set up properly, and it sounds like we have some cooler stuff coming out for it, which is even better. Dispatch Pro has been a huge help. The ACP also helps out a lot with booking calls, and for the CSRs not to have to search to the board to see when they can book a call, it'll just show them, hey, this is your next available.
Yeah, ACP, adjustable capacity planning,
Yep.
which is a pretty complex feature as I understand it, but once you get it set up, it's a game changer.
Yeah, and that's how everything is, right?
Yeah.
So you can use ServiceTitan in 100 different ways. As long as you set it up properly, they're always going to have to go in there. Like, our Dispatch Pro set up pretty good, and now with all the new things that are coming out, I get to go in there and reset it back up again, So that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's change. Change is constant.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You mentioned that hiring is an issue, and it 100% is. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a Toolbox for the Trades conversation that didn't talk about hiring in some way. So how are you guys trying to solve for that issue?
If you have a good culture and your technicians enjoy working for you, they refer their friends. And then when you get their friends on and they're happy, then they refer their friends. And so as long as you take care of your people, you pay them right, and you essentially have a really good culture, they're going to essentially refer you to friends, family, things like that, or people that want to jump into our trade that you can train. And I mean, the number one thing is attitude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't train a good attitude. So as long as you find individuals that are trainable and have a great positive outlook, like, it's pretty easy to understand how to fix an air conditioner after about a summer.
Nice. So looking back at your journey in the industry, right? but you can get in a time machine, you can go back, find yourself at any point, what would you say?
You could jump in the DeLorean, huh?
Yeah.
I would say celebrate the little wins.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, look, every day stuff happens, right? I was watching a show the other day, Ted Lasso.
Oh, I love Ted Lasso.
Be a goldfish, right?
Yeah.
And you have to, because you just have to have a positive outlook.
For sure. You know, we've got a great listenership at Toolbox for the Trades. This is your opportunity to share any nugget of knowledge that you have with your fellow peers, your contractors, this wonderful community. If you had to share anything with them, what would it be?
It's funny because I was just at a different event, and I was talking to some individuals, and they were all telling me how they're going to leave their air conditioning and plumbing companies to their offspring, you know, their kids and everything else. And I would say you shouldn't do that.
Sure.
And the reason being is that I forget the percentage, but a high percentage of second generational businesses fail, right? And so it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right? And so I would say, like, they need to build it on their own, right? Because anybody that gets given something, if I had continued on my path at my father's company, right? And one day they'd said, hey, we're not going to sell to PE, here's the company. You just have a different outlook on it than if you put your own blood, sweat, and tears into building a company. And it's kind of a tainted legacy, right? Because was it you who did it, or was it your father, mother, uncle, whatever, you know?
I will tell you, them's fighting words. I've had many second and third generation owners on here who've talked about it, but I love hearing your perspective. Like, I think it's fascinating to have grown up in the industry, and due to a bunch of different circumstances, all right, you're not running your dad's business anymore, but now you went on your whole different path and you started something of your own. Yeah. So I think it's a matter of, like, you know, figuring every situation is different, right? I mean, if everything was the same, you know, life wouldn't be as exciting as it is.
It's nice to not, because when I worked for my dad, I was Jack's son. Right?
Yeah.
And now I'm Chris, you know?
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me for Toolbox for the Trades.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm wishing you guys the best of luck. I can't wait to see where you guys are at a year from now.
Thank you.